Hello, children. Old Catmeister here, coming around the mountain when he comes to finally finish off the asshole consulting. Young man writes, I know you make up for boomers for not, I know you make up for boomers not saving for retirement. I think it's funny too, because I know they're lazy and ultimately don't want to work for a living. However, I've been pondering whether I want to retire myself. Here's where I could give you my entire life story, but I'm not going to since I have my shit together and don't want to waste your time. Yeah, plus I charge you a lot of money if you do that. Get straight to the point. I have seen many octogenarians either suffer through Alzheimer's or rotting the rest of their life away in a nursing home. Problem I am seeing is that men in particular, when they lose their purpose, just degenerate mentally and physically until they are sad, pathetic husks, until they ultimately meet their demise. Sure, you could save up enough money to never have to work again, but what comes after that? Men become nothing without a purpose. Yep. So what I'm wondering is, what kind of semi-retirement careers would you suggest for someone who is post-retirement age and still wants to work? My best guesses would include accounting, programming, IT. Nope, I cannot disagree with that more. Anything that mostly requires mental effort rather than physical effort. Nope, I could not disagree with that either. More. You want physical effort, so you're like actually exercising your body. I'm not saying they're pouring concrete either, but you could choose to work less hours in a day if you wanted. My own granddad is a preacher at a church, and he's been doing just that. Well, yeah, he gets up there, he preaches. Maybe you could even go full sleazebag and become a college professor. Nah, I think we're all better than boomers. You just told me how much you hate boomers, and I want to become a college professor. Extract some money from socialist voting in public until you finally croak. Hope this isn't wordy, Aaron. I appreciate your input in this. Okay. So Jacob is his name. We could mention that. It's not the type of work. I'm going to say that. I think you should choose physical work over mental work, because there's no such thing as like intellectually engaging mental work. Unless you're like, okay, we got to do some calculations to land a satellite on Jupiter. All right. Even though you can't, because it's a gaseous planet. This idea of an intellectually rewarding job just isn't there. I think men need physical work. And again, if you're 75, you probably aren't going to be laying sod, but there should be some kind of physical work. But more important than that, I would say that it's a bunch of other guys hanging around. I don't know if you ever watched the Tim Allen show, Last Man Standing. I know it's TV. I always envied the work relationship he had with Mr. Aziante and was it Barry, who was the kid? He had just a bunch of coworkers, and all they did was bust each other's balls. I think men absolutely need a group of other men to work with. What you ultimately do doesn't matter. It could be accounting, it could be programming, but as long as you go in there and like, hey, dick nuts, that kind of thing. Like, hey, dweeb balls, what's going on? And my old man, he works with a bunch of old guys. And it's great because they're old guys. They don't care if HR fires them. They're throwing paper airplanes and actually acting like a bunch of 8th grade sophomores. That's what they do. They go in, and it's not even about making work or doing some kind of time at the office or the factory. It's, I get to pick on my buddy Charlie. I get to pick on my buddy Fred. I get to pick, boomer names. And then even having conversations like, oh yeah. I got Bill real good. I got Bill good. Yeah, I got him good. That kind of thing. And the work almost becomes moot. It's merely a facade. You're just going in there to bust other guys' balls. And so this presents a bigger challenge, or a harder challenge for any old men today. And I don't think, Jacob, you're an old man just yet, but when you get to be old, it's like you're going to have to find that place where there's a bunch of guys hanging around. So I've noticed that cigar lounges is where a lot of old guys hang around. A lot of the old timers work behind the counter for nothing. They work for cigars just because they want to have something to do, and then they get to pick on their buddies. I guess you could work at a bar too. Bar would be all right. But anything where there's a bunch of guys, and I think that is the key thing right there, is it has to be a bunch of guys. You cannot be working with a bunch of Karens. You can't be working with a bunch of 20-somethings. You need a bunch of old farts like you who don't need the job, and you show up and you just start slinging insults at each other. I think that is the best kind of part-time job an old man can have. I would say, well, maybe if you wanted to drive truck, but you're lonely and you're bored, that's not going to intellectually stimulate you. You could do accounting, but you're just sitting in your office. It really does help, though. If you walk, it could be anything. It could be a factory floor. It could be a tire shop, a mechanic bay. It could be a phone center. As long as you're walking in and like, hey, Dick Jesus, that kind of thing. And then they throw it back at you. And that, I think, is more valuable than whatever your pathetic wages. I mean, you guys, that's the other great thing about being an old man is you can just like work for peanuts because you don't care. You don't need the money. And if your boss gets a little bit too lippy, you're gonna like, yeah, okay, I quit. Fine. Goodbye. That's it. KWH for $7 Canadian. Big shout out to Cappy. Thanks for your advice, man. You've helped me quit smoking pot. Oh, good. I've also saved $2,000 since I've been tuning in. Hey, look at that. Look at that. See? You spreading the wealth. I get $7 if it's 2,000. All right, there we go. That'll go to the there's the septic tank fund. But what else? Yeah, the floor fund. Flooring. Yeah, that's where the next big exciting donation of the money goes. It goes to the flooring fund as I build my house. So, all right, there you go. Questions, answers, assholeconsulting.com. I'll see you guys later. Toodles.